Aydin, Akcasu, stop doing that. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
What do you have in your hand there?
Oh, it's a Wii remote.
Wii remote. Now, I don't own a Wii, but I've seen them. And this is a game console, or it's you point it at a game console, and you can play like baseball and
you can do
bowling,
whatever you want to.
All sorts of things. The games basically work off gestures from swinging this remote around. Mm-hmm. But you do more than play games with this. What else do you do?
Well, for a long time, I did not own a Wii. I had one of these for 2 years. Okay, I had these for 2 years, and I was not allowed to buy. Well, I could have bought a Wii, but I did not have a game. But I did have a Wii remote. So you're probably wondering, why the hell would you buy one of these things? Well,
you had the Wii remote 2 years before you bought the game console.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Now, why would someone do something like this? Okay, oh, don't look at the camera. Right? Camera off. Right. Well, I signed up to give a talk, and then I realized I had to learn this, so I very quickly learned how to use this. Wii Remote is actually, this costs about $40. It actually is a Bluetooth device. So the nice thing about it is you don't need the Wii console, game console, you just need the Wii Remote, and you can interface to your computer, provided you have a Bluetooth port. So you can buy a little $10, $20 USB plug-in, and a Bluetooth USB plug-in, and then you can actually interface to the Wii Remote.
Huh.
And what
does that do for you?
Well, the nice thing about the Wii Remote, it actually has quite a few capabilities built into it. Everyone knows about the gesturing, so it actually has 3 accelerometers built into it, X, Y, and Z.
Accelerometers, okay.
It's basically measuring gravity. So when I'm holding it like this, gravity is pulling down on here. So if there's something measuring, in this case, the Z accelerometer would have a value of 1.
Okay.
If I'm tilting it like this, then like the X accelerometer would have a value of 1. If I tilt it like this, then the Y accelerometer might have a value of 1. So based on whatever angle I have, it can measure the angle of the Wii remote.
Okay.
You combine those things with the game console. What it's doing is when I do something like this, it's actually measuring that movement and figuring out based on that, how did I move this thing? So it can actually measure the angle of this.
And the change in those angles.
And the change in those things. On top of that, you have all these buttons that you have a whole bunch of buttons. You have up-down buttons. You have these A/B buttons. Little trigger here. It also has 4 LEDs, which normally, by default, tells you the battery strength left. But you can also program those as well.
Oh.
So on your PC, you can use a .NET library, open source library. What you can do with it is you can write code that can control these LEDs. There's also a rumble built into this, a vibrating mode.
Okay.
These will vibrate, so you can actually program it to vibrate. So if let's say you wanted to say vibrate when you're not level, or let's say you wanted to see how good is your posture, you can walk around like this, and if you tilt it too much, it can start to vibrate or make a
possibilities are endless with that.
Possibilities are endless, yes, yes. A very sought after feature. In that case, so there's lots of things you can do with it. You can also hook up other devices to this. There's like a little joystick module you can hook up to it.
Is there a port?
Yeah, there's a little port on the bottom. And if you do that, the library, you can use the exact same library. Now it just has some more features. The thing that's really neat about this is not only can you do a lot with that, but it also has what looks like just kind of a simple sensor bar. And it turns out this is actually an infrared camera. It's a 1024 by 768 infrared camera. And typically the problem with just having accelerometers is if I'm holding it up like this, I have a Z value of 1 and the X and Y are 0. If I turn it this way, the Z value is still 1.
Okay.
So there's really nothing to tell me that I've rotated this thing. Now if I do this fast, yeah, you can measure that movement, but if I'm just turning it slowly, there's no way for it to know that I'm pointing here versus pointing there. Now the way that the game console handles it is there's a sensor bar which basically has like 2 infrared lights on it, so it can tell whether I'm pointing here, or based on that angle, it can tell which way I'm pointing.
Okay, so now this is something that I had wrong for a long time. It always seemed to me that this remote was pointing some sort of beam at the console. You're telling me it's exactly the opposite.
The exact opposite,
2 beams
yes.
from the console are actually pointing
exactly
at this.
Exactly. So what it's doing is based on that, it's kind of triangulating where is this thing, which direction is it pointing.
Okay.
But if you want to program this, what you can do is this thing the infrared camera has built into it the ability to track 4 infrared objects at a time. Now, what does that mean to a programmer? Well, if you want it to be able to, if you point it at something, this infrared light source, you can tell that you're doing this. If you have 3 objects or 4 objects, you can even tell whether you're moving around something. So imagine if we had here, an infrared light here, 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 and here. Technically, you could actually measure the fact that I'm moving around like this.
Okay.
So what some people have done is they've written applications where they might be working on this 3-dimensional blob and actually being able to grab points and rotate it or add little wings on top of it and so on and manipulate it. So it opens up a whole bunch of new avenues because I mean, this is all built in. You don't have to do any programming other than 3D geometry, depending on what you're trying to do. But the applications are really endless to this. And what's nice about it is if you're using, do you want me to talk about development.net stuff? Or?
Well, before you talk about
Okay.
how to develop it, just have you seen a real-world example, somebody developing an application besides the game that's using the Wii Remote?
Yeah, there's some applications that people have done. I think his name is Johnny Lee. What he's done is he's taken the Wii Remote and he's done a few things. One of them is he's put the Wii Remote on top of a monitor. He had an infrared light source, so everything's pointing towards you.
Okay.
And on his fingertips, he actually put little reflectors.
Okay.
So he was able to basically go like this, and it would find that point, go like this, and with 2 points interact with things.
Oh, okay.
So you can take a photograph and like rotate it.
So then you can do like gesture type,
Exactly.
things, but in the air, more minority.
In the air, exactly.
report.
In fact, I read somewhere that I think they might have used something like this for the Minority Report part. The other things you can do with it is, I think the same person pointing to one of these had an LCD projected image on a screen. So imagine there's a screen over here, and then he has a infrared pen. He calibrated it, and then while he's drawing on the screen, the lines are being drawn. So it allowed you to $40 plus $10 for an infrared pen, and maybe $10 for a fixture. You can basically draw on the screen without needing a $10,000 digitizing tablet screen.
Oh, okay.
So that's another application of this. Also, same idea. You can project an LCD image down on your table, use the pen, use the same interaction, and be interfacing to the table.
Okay.
And as if it's like this is an actual. They have something called Microsoft Surface, like a Surface device. You can actually interact with it.
Okay. Much cheaper than a Surface, though.
Exactly, yes, a little bit. Yes, about $10,000, $12,000, or $13,000, and $60 cheaper. What I've done with this is I've actually interfaced it to a laptop PC. The laptop PC interfaced through the USB to a remote control Dragonfly. So the idea was I was able.
What's a Dragonfly?
Dragonfly is like a remote control plane, except it actually flaps its wings. It looks like a real dragonfly.
Okay.
So what I did with that was you could basically start the whole thing up, and I can do this and have it go forward, or do this to come back, and right and left and interface to it. So those are some of the applications.
All right. So now talk me through as a .NET developer.
Yep.
How do I get started here? Is the file, new project?
Yep.
And then what?
Okay, so you start with file, new project. You have to download a library from Brian Peep, I think his name was.
All right, give me the link to that and we'll put it in the show
Okay,
notes.
yeah.
This is the open source library.
The open source library, yes. So you download that. Once you do that, there's some examples that you can start with. One of the examples actually is a screen that shows you all the information on the Wii Remote.
Okay.
So as a starting point, you can look at that code. And what you'll literally see is when I press that button, it's going to say A button's pressed, B button's pressed. All these buttons are pressed.
Okay.
It will show you the angles. You'll see the angles on there. You'll see where any infrared light sources. If I have the joystick or the nunchuck attachments to it, it will show you all the information on that as well.
There are nunchuck attachments?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things you can add to it. So it will basically give you all the information for that. Also, the Wii, I didn't mention this yet, but the Wii balance board. The Wii balance board as well is also a Bluetooth device.
Looks like the Wii Fit.
It's a Wii Fit. It's part of the Wii Fit. Yes, it's basically a balance board. It looks like it looks about this big. You stand on it. It actually has 4 sensors that's measuring the weight on all 4 of those corners. So from that you can determine, where are you kind of standing a little more to the right, to the left.
That's it.
You can kind of do like a surfboard or something. Some application someone has done with that is they've used that to be like an interface to, I think it might have been Virtual Earth, or maybe it was Google Earth. But basically you could, like you're standing on a surfboard, you can basically interact with the 3D world. You can basically lean forward and sideways and actually move around the 3D world.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, what does it take to program it? The starting point is probably to bring up that application to see how you can call things.